how to calculate inflation. By the end of this video episode, you will understand that the easiest way to calculate inflation is by using the rule of 72, both directions. You'll understand what I mean by that in just a moment. So I'm Doug Andrew. I've been a financial strategist and a retirement planning specialist now for north of 48 years. And during that time period, I've helped thousands of Americans prepare for a comfortable retirement to not outlive their money. What causes most Americans to outlive their money is the negative impact of three big dangers: taxes, inflation, and market volatility. My favorite vehicle that eliminates those dangers is a maximum funded indexed universal life insurance policy that is structured correctly and funded properly, because it will earn average rates of return of 7 to 10%, some years much higher than that, but totally tax-free. But when the market goes down, you don't lose. You participate when the market goes up. That's indexing. It's totally tax-free, so it doesn't matter what Congress does to taxes. You're immune from taxes going up affecting your retirement. But what about inflation? You are able to link your returns to the things that inflate, and I talk about that on other educational videos on this channel. Now, in this particular episode, I'm going to talk about how to calculate the negative impact of inflation using simple math called the rule of 72. And I'm going to approach it from two different directions. Let's start with the main way that most people are taught the rule of 72. Most of the time, people hear of this rule, and it helps you calculate how long it will take you to double your money, okay? Now, this isn't designed for periodic, $100 a month or $500 a month savings accounts. This is if you started out with a lump sum. So let's say you started out with a lump sum of $125,000, and you wanted to know how long it will take for that $125,000 to double to $250,000, and then $250,000 to double to $500,000, and then $500,000 double to $1 million. And let's say that you think you can earn a rate of return of 8%. So if you could earn 8%, you divide 8 into the number 72, and it will tell you your money will double every 9 years. So in 9 years, $125,000 is going to $250,000. In another 9 years, $250,000 goes to $500,000. In another 9 years, it'll double to $1 million. Okay. Now, if you're 9%, it doubles in 8 years. If you earn 5%, it will double every 14.4 years. Do you have some money in a bank right now earning less than 1%? At 1%, it'll take 72 years to double your money. That's pretty pathetic. But if you earn 10%, now I've actually netted 10% after the cost of insurance on IUL for many, many years. 10 into 72 means my money doubles every 7.2 years. Now, ever since the emergence of universal life in 1980, and then 17 years later, indexed universal life when interest rates started to come down, I have averaged 9.62%. If you divide 9.6, I'm just going to round it down, into 72, my money doubles every 7.5 years. Yep. I've had many clients who have experienced their money doubling every 7.5 years. $500,000 they started with doubled to $1 million in 7.5 years. That million doubles to $2 million in another 7.5 years by the end of 15. It doubles to $4 million at the end of 22.5 years. By the end of 30 years, it's worth $8 million. Yep. We have clients with $8 million tax-free in a portfolio of IULs that now it's generating $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year, 8 to 10% payouts without depleting principal. Okay. I want this for you, no matter how much money you may start with. It's not what you begin with that counts, it's what you end up with. So let's go back to the rule of 72 and see how you can use it with inflation, okay? Now, the reciprocal of that equation is true. When people would come to me and they would say, I bought a piece of real estate for $100,000 and I sold it later and doubled my money. I go, so? I'm not impressed until I know what? How long Did you hold on to it? And did you leverage, or did you tie up all your money in it? Okay. Leverage is the third miracle of wealth accumulation, the ability to own and control your assets with very little or none of your money tied up at risk in the asset. A lot of people just pay cash, let's say for a piece of real estate. So they bought it for $100,000 and they sold it for $200,000. I'm not impressed until I find out what. How long did you wait before you doubled your money? If they go, 10 years. Well, I divide 10 years into the number 72, and that tells me their average return was 7.2% interest compounded annually. That's what they would have had to have earned on $100,000 to have it be worth $200,000 10 years later. Now I'm not that impressed. I'm going 7.2%. That's a lot of real estate appreciates at that rate. See, it's not impressive when you understand how to use the rule of 72. So far, so good. So let's go back to calculating inflation. So if the government says the inflation rate is 5.8%, like they did in 2021, that's not the real rate of inflation. That's called the Consumer Price Index, which they changed twice back in the 1980s. They actually do not compare the same basket of goods to the identical basket of goods year to year. It's like apples to oranges, and they can actually compare the price of a 8-ounce filet mignon steak in 2021 to 8 ounces of hamburger in 2022 because it's still red meat. And they actually do that. So they did that because back in the 80s, they did not want to have to keep paying Social Security recipients raises based upon the actual cost of living increase, the CPI. So they changed the way they calculate inflation, and it's apples to oranges. So in 2021, when they came out and said, inflation has been a 20-year high, the cost of living has gone up 5.8%. We're going to be heroes and give you a 5.8% raise on your Social Security. Everybody's like, well, how come I can't buy the same gallons of gas and loaves of bread I could have bought before, even though I got this 5.8% raise? Because gasoline went up 50%, even 100%. Used automobiles went up over 20%. A lot of meats, all kinds of consumer goods went up way more than 5.8%. The actual rate of inflation is usually triple the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. So if you hear what the rate of inflation is, if inflation is 7.2, the cost of living is going to double every 10 years. If they say inflation's 10%, it doubles 7.2 years. If it's 12%, it's going to double in 6 years. It's actually been over 15. 15 into 72 means the cost of living will double in 4.8 years. Are you understanding this? What does that mean? If you could get by on 100,000 today, in less than 5 years, you're going to need 200,000 to buy the same gallons of gas and loaves of bread that 100,000 buys today. And in 10 years, it will double again. You're going to need 400,000 to buy the same gallons of gas and loaves of bread that 100,000 buys today if inflation stays at 15%. Now, some people say, well, that's impossible. No, that's where we're headed because they keep printing money. Now, let's go back to this reciprocal type of equation. What if all you hear is what the government tells you what they want you to hear? Inflation's 5.8, and you know better. So you simply measure. So how much was gasoline a year or 2 years ago? How long did it take gas to go from $1.50 a gallon to $3, or from $2 a gallon to $4 a gallon? And you look at it and you go, a year and a half, 2 years. You divide 2 into 72, okay? And that means inflation is 36% on gasoline. If it doubled in 1 year, inflation was 72%. If prescriptions, okay, now cost double what they did 3 years ago, 3 into 72 means the inflation rate on medicine is 24%. So you take how long it took to double the cost of something, divide that many years into 72, and it'll tell you the real inflation rate. Is this scaring you? Yeah, I'm just simplifying it. You'll learn real fast that what the government tells you that inflation rate is smoke and mirrors. So by understanding how to calculate inflation, hopefully you will then ask the next question: how can I outpace the inflation rate? That's what I love to teach people, is how to outpace inflation by linking your returns on your money to the things that inflate. I've always earned a rate of return greater than the inflation rate at any given time. So check out my channel and learn how you can do that so that inflation doesn't hurt you. It actually helps you. I don't like inflation any more than you do, but it doesn't hurt me. It helps me when you understand how to do that. If this is arousing some curiosity, here's your first step. I want to gift you a free copy of my 11th best-selling book called The Laser Fund. It's 300 pages. It's actually 2 books in one. This book is 200 pages, 14 chapters with all kinds of charts and graphs of how to diversify and create the foundation for a tax-free retirement and link your returns to the things that inflate. My favorite vehicle, IUL. If you learn better by stories, you turn it over and you read this one, 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 actual client stories. This is the right brain side. This is the left brain. If you want to use your whole brain, I would recommend you read the whole book, okay? But you simply go to laserfund.com, LASERFund.com. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. You have to have some skin in the game. Come on. And I'll pay for the book. You don't have to pay $20. I'll fire out a hard copy to you. There's options there. If you'd rather listen and learn or watch and learn, there's an 18-hour masterclass. But check out some of our online webinars that we do on a regular basis. And if you want to be directed to an advisor who understands how to help you implement these strategies correctly, then you can check out IUL Insiders, and we can point you to the advisors that know how to help you eliminate the dangers of taxes, inflation, and market volatility for your brighter future.